we've all heard the stat now that less than 2% of VC funding goes to female founders, and much less than that goes to women's health and true women's health innovation. So this is deep tech, this is building new things from scratch. Most of the women's health dollars go to tech and go to platforms that take things that exist today and try to democratize access, which is very important. But we have to remember that when we throw that 2% number around, we really are talking about tech platforms for example, delivering HRT or tracking periods. We're not talking about novel drug discovery and development. And so one of the challenges is that, what do? Do we throw up our hands and say, well, we're just not going to develop these products? Entrepreneurs just shouldn't innovate in this space? Absolutely not. There's no other way to move this forward, because large companies like big pharma companies are increasingly divesting from the earliest stage of research. So really it's up to us as entrepreneurs and innovators to pioneer a way to solve this problem that there's a huge market potential and unmet need. Women use more medical health care. We go to the doctor more. Last year in the US alone, women, mostly between the ages of 18 and 45, spent almost $10 billion more on pharmaceuticals than men. So the market is there, and if you believe in capitalism, there should be opportunities to progress innovation in the space. But the VC funding model does not necessarily lend itself to this, because VCs like to build syndicates. They like to go after things that are increasingly becoming a trend in the field, and the problem is that a lot of VCs just aren't educated in this category. There still aren't that many empowered female check writers at venture funds. It's gotten a little better. It's not great. And a lot of those check writers are very early stage within the venture fund, so they don't feel empowered to take big risks and go after a category that the venture fund isn't as familiar with or as comfortable with. There's a lot of misconceptions at VCs that the science just isn't there, or the FDA will not work with women's health companies, or that even when you get something approved, you can't get it reimbursed by CMS. And to some extent, those headwinds are there, and it's true. But part of it is that this ends up being this mutually reinforcing chicken and the egg, where people aren't starting companies, people aren't funding companies, and then the innovations are not getting there to the regulators or to CMS. And so what we need is we need the floodgates to open. And part of that is for women to feel emboldened and comfortable to lean in. I've pitched over 600 VCs in my 16-year career as an entrepreneur. I've never had a single one of them fund our work, and yet we've raised or generated over $140 million of capital for the work that we're doing through a variety of really appealing to and building long-term relationships with family offices who are patient capital. They are mission-driven, mission-focused capital. We have been very successful in building strategic partnerships as well with pharmaceutical companies. And then we've done a good job of raising money from foundations like the Gates Foundation, and then ultimately from the US government as well. We're the only Spark category awardee within ovarian health for the Sprint for Women's Health. And so we were able to get an ARPA-H contract.